The comments and statements made within the show are the opinions of the commentators and their guests, have not been evaluated by the FDA, and are in no way attempt to diagnose, treat, mitigate, cure, or prevent any disease or illness. The contents of the show are not to be construed as medical advice. If you have a health condition or health concern, please contact a licensed, qualified healthcare practitioner.
Oh my, what have you found, Franny? Let's see what they say. Latest and greatest. You found more. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Excellent sleuthing, Fran. Fran, I think this is a new case for the Supplement Super Sleuth. Dig, Franny, dig! Time to go down the rabbit hole and see what we can find. Goodness, where are we? Aha! Take a look at this. Hi, everyone. I'm just jamming on the music. All right, Supplement Super Sleuth here for our 37th episode. How great is that? So all of you are fully aware, I'll be doing this podcast twice a month, and I'll be covering different kinds of segments. So sometimes you'll hear Naturals in the News. That's when I'll share general info on new research that's posted on all types of health subjects. Sometimes you'll hear my favorite things. That's what we're doing today. So that's really a lot of fun. And sometimes you'll have Naturals in the Know, where I interview key thought leaders and successful holistic practitioners from a wide variety of disciplines. And finally, our newest segment is entitled What's Old is New Again. And that's when I share historical information on the weird and the lost healing therapies of olden days. Some of them are having a renaissance and some of them are not. But it'll be fun to just dig around in history and either laugh or laugh again, because some of these really ancient techniques are being utilized in our modern day. So I get a kick out of it, and I think you will too. All right, so with that said, let's begin. Today, we're going to be doing my favorite thing. And please don't think this is just silly, but it's about water. Yes, water, water. I get so many questions from people in my practice about what to drink. Is it important to drink? And I don't feel thirsty. I'm thirsty all the time. My athletic trainer told me to drink X amount. And then, of course, the ensuing result of drinking a lot of water, which is I am in the bathroom X amount of times, or can you, is this normal and whatnot? So we're coming up on the summer months for North America, of course, and water plays a very important role as the temperatures start to inch up and we become more active outside in the elements. Really focusing on hydration is important. One of the reasons why I've chosen water as my favorite thing today is because earlier this year, there was a game-changing study that was published that looked at the long-term health impact of dehydration. And we're not talking about dramatic dehydration here. What we're talking about is not enough water or fluids in the human body and the cells themselves and how that impacts aging. Okay. So that particular study actually gained the attention of CNN, NBC, and some other really big major news media outlets. The study was a part of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute's atherosclerosis risk study. And this study followed over 11,000 individuals for 25 years. And this particular study, and this portion of the study, if you will, um, really wanted to test the hypothesis that hydration and optimal hydration may slow the aging process. So the it's pretty exciting because a lot of people, as you age, you definitely lose the ability to tell if you're dehydrated or not. A lot of seniors don't like to drink, they lose thirst, and because they don't like to drink, they don't drink. And they don't like visiting the bathroom that much because that becomes more frequent when you age. So many times they just don't drink water, or they won't drink a lot at all. So I really wanted to kind of cover what was in this study, to really underscore how important it is to focus on it on a daily basis, just like food. Drinking water and being very mindful of how you drink water, when you drink water, how much you drink water is crucial. It's absolutely crucial to your longevity. So, the study used serum sodium levels as a marker for hydration. And researchers found that levels that were greater than 142 micromoles per liter indicated hypohydration. So the more salt concentrated in your fluids in your body means you have less water. That makes sense, right? And that was associated with, get ready for this, this is really big, 39% increased risk for chronic diseases, 21% heightened risk of early mortality, and a 50% higher risk of being psychologically older than chronological age, which means it has a profound effect on your mind. Okay. So, serious health repercussions can result from just not drinking enough water, not tea, not coffee, not soda, not none of those other things, just water. Okay. So, people whose middle age serum sodium exceeds 142 micromoles per liter have an increased for the risk to be biologically older. They have a higher risk for developing chronic diseases, and they die younger. Um, the researcher, one of the researchers for this particular study, she was the lead. Her name was Natalia Dmitriev. Um, she had a lot to say about this. In the paper, Dmitriev and colleagues explain that a person's average serum sodium level during midlife, so that's 47 years of age to about 70 years of age, does reflect hydration habits. The data showed that serum sodium in the range of 138 to 142 micromoles per liter is associated with the lowest risk of chronic diseases and premature death. And since decreased body water is the most common reason for increasing sodium concentration, that's what's more important to focus on. It's not important to focus on decreasing your salt intake. What's important to focus on is increasing your water intake. Okay. So, optimal hydration can slow the aging process. And it shouldn't really be a surprise, but it's the mindfulness about it that's really important. The adult human body is 65% or more water. Um, Infancy or childhood, they're more than 75% water. So, but as you age, so people who are between 60 and 80, they're roughly 55% water. So as you can see, these things really shift, and getting water in your body and keeping water in your body in a healthy way is really important. Reduction of body water or cellular water with advanced age, together with diminished thirst, um, typically puts older adults, and especially women, at a risk for dehydration and those kinds of consequences that come with it. And a lot of people don't know that even less than 1% hypohydration or uncompensated fluid loss can affect how you think and what you and if you can think. So simply increasing your daily intake of water shows cognitive flexibility improvement. And it's really important to remember that before you start taking all these supplements and herbs and remedies, get the water right, okay? Cellular health, the health of all your cells in your body, and the tissue that's related to that, has this thing called water dynamics. One other recent study showed that tissue obtained from the human breast and the human tongue tumors. So they took these tumors that show very different intracellular water dynamics than other healthy surrounding tissues. Water plays a fundamental role in maintaining normal cellular activity. But how do you manage that? So some people say to me, man, I drink 2 liters of water a day and I just pee it right back out. So it means the tissue is changing and the cells are changing, and we need to support ways to keep the water inside the cell. I often tell people that there are some foods that help you to stay hydrated. So cucumber is one of them. Cucumber has this compound in it called allantoin, and allantoin actually helps you hold onto water inside the cell. And there are others, and we'll talk about that. So the general public may not be aware of the connection between hypohydration, which is low hydration, and illness. And that's not the case with health enthusiasts, right? And biohackers. It's already out there. You can find this everywhere. There's plenty of chatter among the biohackers and the fitness fanatics about what kinds of water to drink, whether it's reverse osmosis or if it's spring water from some precious, fountainhead somewhere. There's a lot of conversations going on about, well, what kind of water and what do I do about the water in my house? And should I get a filtration system on my house and all of that? There are massive markets for water all around the world. There's electrolyte drinks, and there's, all these other additives that you can do to try and keep the water that you're drinking in your cells. A lot of these popular hydration electrolyte powders and drinks, they have a lot of sugar in them, so be careful of those. But it is really important to figure this piece out. Keeping your body hydrated, making sure that the water is staying inside the cell until it needs to debride itself, or if there's good water dynamics, there's equal amount of water dynamics going into the cell and out of the cell, or into the tissue and out of the tissue, versus drinking a lot of water and your body just pouring more water out. Okay. And you have to think about, do you perspire a lot? Do you not perspire a lot? Are you in a warm climate? Has the temperature started to go up? Like today it's going to be 80 degrees and I've increased my water intake already. And like so many things, a person's water needs, right, is so individual. So you have to address all of those questions before you can understand how much, what kind of frequency, what time of day. I often tell elderly people to get up. And elderly, I mean, if you're over 47, you're starting to go towards midlife to elderly, okay? And you want to prep starting right away in the 40s, okay? Get up and drink 8 to 16 ounces of water. First thing, before you do anything, try and drink your water at the beginning part of the day and the mid part of the day. If you forget to drink during the morning and the afternoon, and you start drinking, around dinner time, you're going to wake in the middle of the night to urinate. Okay. So we want you drinking at the beginning part of the day. So you get up, brush your teeth, drink water, have your shower, or take a bath or whatever it is. So there's also another school of thought that suggests that healthy individuals should drink to thirst. I don't recommend that because some of us are always thirsty. I'm thirsty all the time. So there's definitely some heat going on there, right? And some people are never thirsty. They're just never thirsty, right? So it's really important. It's just like food. Some people are hungry all the time, but you can't eat all the time. And some people have no appetite, but if they didn't eat, it wouldn't be good for them. So you have to be mindful about it, and you have to sort of set goals for water as well as your food, right? We know that over the age of 50, the body's intrinsic ability to sense the need for water is very much diminished, and it can get really confused. And there are multiple studies that show that otherwise healthy older individuals drink less frequently than younger people, despite that serum osmolality, which is blood osmolality, is the ability of water to move in and out of the cells, especially the blood cells. Okay, so it's really important that you say to yourself, I weigh this much, I'm this old, um, I need to have, I exercise, maybe you're outdoors all the time. The more, even if you're not lifting weights or running, if you're outdoors, fluid is being evaporated off of your skin at a much higher rate than when you're indoors. So if you work outdoors, even if it's like a gardening job, or you're outdoors at a gardening center and you're not really doing heavy exercise, you're in the elements, and fluid is being evaporated off of your skin at a rapid rate. So you really want to adjust for those kinds of factors. Okay. In natural medicine, there's a conversation that people should drink half of their body weight in ounces. So, therefore, if a person weighs 150 pounds, they should drink 75 ounces of water every day. I like that guideline. And of course, with higher amounts of exercise and with exposure to the elements, if you're outside more, you want to increase that. So ranges of 2.7 to 3.7 liters of fresh, clean, pure water daily have been suggested by experts and organizations. And it's really important to focus on that if you're athletic. An athlete can lose 6 to 10% of their body weight in sweat during a vigorous, prolonged event. Even modest amounts of dehydration, so minus 2% of body mass through water loss, can negatively affect your physical performance. Without that water, your muscles can't contract. So people who work out vigorously or participate in exertive activities need to be very mindful of their water intake, and not the sugary electrolyte stuff, just water, right? And even if you're perspiring and then you stop perspiring, you have to think about more water, because many times that halting of perspiration is because there's the pores are closing because you're already at dehydration. Okay, so there's activity level. That's one factor in water balance. There's age. Older adults need more, and they need to be more conscious about becoming dehydrated. um, they can become hyponatremic with excessive water intake too, so you can overdo it. Sometimes what happens is certain pharmaceutical drugs, lots of times blood pressure medications will do this. They'll deplete the sodium in the body, and so you're drinking water and all of a sudden your electrolytes bottom out because you're on a drug that's that reduces your minerals. So you really need to, it's tricky, but you really need to figure out um, what the water needs are in relationship to your age and to any pharmaceuticals that you're on. Okay. So most people think about losing water through urination, right? Through the kidneys. We lose water through the skin, perspiration. But there's another way we lose water, and that's the lungs. Okay. So every breath you have, every exhale you have, actually there's moisture that comes out of you. Okay. And also the other way is through our gastrointestinal tract. So for those people who have loose stools, or have frequent stools, you're also losing a lot of water. Okay, so there's other ways too. We can lose water through and sodium through burns, diarrhea, sweating, of course, vomiting, low hormones like aldosterone, and high blood sugar levels too. Okay, so sugar actually has a profound effect on how we hold on to water and how we release water. And sodium as well. If we lose too much sodium, so that's hypotonic water, we like diuretic drugs or herbs that are extremely diuretic. And black tea is very diuretic. Tea and coffee are wildly diuretic, and they become a problem in older age. A lot of people have a coffee habit or a tea habit, and oddly enough, that really reduces the fluids in your body, and it can um, create this diuretic effect where your minerals are also going out of your body, and there's an imbalance, and that can be problematic. So there's a lot of aspects to how water stays in your body, how water leaves in your body, how your sodium goes up and down, how sugar affects your minerals, how your minerals interplay between each other. Okay, so in general, the people who are most susceptible to dehydration, first and foremost, are the elderly, anyone over 60, um, the elderly, and those who are on medications that may change the mineral balance and or dehydrate them, like diuretics. Okay, people who don't have regular access to clean drinking water. Believe it or not, a lot of people in the United States don't think about that, but it is very common, and it's more common now than ever. Okay, so water's expensive, and some people are have to drink water from the tap, and that tap water may not be clean. So that's one of the places where things can go wrong. Those who are exposed to high temperatures, so people who live, in hot areas, arid southern climates, people who sauna a lot and can also dehydrate. There's nothing wrong with sauna. I think sauna is great, but you have to really be mindful and focus of drinking a lot, a lot, a lot of water. Um, Athletes, of course, they're very physical. They can lose a lot of water through sweat. They can also lose minerals through sweating. Diarrhea. So children or elderly who have gastrointestinal issues. Those who are prone to kidney stones or urinary tract infections, those people can also be very susceptible to dehydration. And oftentimes, dehydration actually brings on urinary tract infections in the elderly. And people who have to travel by air for work. So jet lag is very much related to dehydration. And it's very interesting because a lot of people get on a plane and they drink alcohol. Alcohol is very dehydrating as well. They drink alcohol to relax, but what they should be doing is drinking water the entire time they're in the air. Before they get in the air, they should have a liter of water. While they're in their air, they should be drinking water the entire time. And then when they get off the plane, they should drink another liter of water. Air travel is so dehydrating that you might as well turn into a raisin. So it's a really important thing to think about. So there's no real gold standard test for dehydration. The closest thing we have is, of course, we can look at the blood urea, nitrogen, the BUN test. That's kidney function. We can look at plasma osmolality. So we can look at the serum sodium levels, but it's a developing consideration, and it's really become an important consideration given the fact we have so many people who get into their 40s, 50s, 60s, and start to have signs of early senility or Alzheimer's. We need to keep people as hydrated as possible. Um, we can test saliva, we can test tears. That will give us an idea of what's going on. But when your skin is dry and your hair is dry, you may not have thirst, but you definitely have issues with dehydration and possible mineral imbalances. So, fatigue, heart rhythm changes, um, constipation is always a sign that there's some level of dehydration going on, not enough water or something. Cracked lips, skin cracking, skin tenting, headaches, dehydration, headaches, very dry mucosa, dry nasal passages, dry mouth, dry cracking heels. Um, so it's really important to kind of take an inventory of your body and say, gee, am I running on the side of being dehydrated or hydrated? Some holistic practitioners and nutritionists and naturopaths advise to add things like fresh squeezed lemon juice, a dab of raw honey, um, a spoonful of crystal salt, crystallized Himalayan salt. There's a lot of lately, there's a lot of conversations about taking a teaspoon of Himalayan pink crystal salt um, to your 8 to 16 ounces of water. That's also something you can look into if you want. There's definitely a correlation and a connection between water and sodium. You can't separate them, right? So when you're talking about dehydration, you could be talking about sodium, but you could also be talking about potassium too. um, so just drinking water can improve dehydration, but not always. You might need something else, right? And we definitely have herbs that increase fluid retention, like marshmallow, slippery elm, cucumber is amazing. Watermelon. Watermelon is a refrigerant, but it's also a humectant. So it can really add water to the body rapidly. Okay, so those are some things to think about. Um, the study I thought was excellent. And for people who use salt in their cooking or as an additive to make salt water, I think it is important to consider the source of your salt and the source of your water in general. If you decide that are you sitting here and you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, I've tried the salt water thing. I've tried this. I've tried that. But I still, as soon as I drink water, it comes right out. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Um, Hydrating a body sometimes is more than just drinking water, but sometimes that's all it is, right? Get up in the morning, drink your water. It is really interesting. One of the things that came out of this study is that the risk of acute ischemic stroke is highest early in the morning hours, right? First thing in the morning you get up. They call them wake up strokes. But what they found is that if you're fully hydrated at night, during the day, and you're working on hydration, you can reduce your early morning stroke risk by 25%. So that's incredible. So for people who are worried about, stroke, if they've had someone in the family with stroke, or, there's some issues going on health wise, and you're in that age span that stroke is possible, work on your hydration during the day, because you can reduce the account of all early morning strokes by 25% by making sure that you're hydrated. So um, it's it's fascinating, and it's a worthy favorite thing. Um, I wake up every morning and have 16 ounces of pure clean water. That's the first thing I do. Um, and I do have, kind of a predilection, if you will, towards herbal teas during the day if it's cold. And during the summer, it's just water. I really like it. Um, caffeine and just coffee and tea, with or without the caffeine, it doesn't matter, are dehydrating. So you have to really kind of, those actually are a negative towards hydration. So you kind of have to um, fill in the gap for your coffee and your tea. There's really no clear cut researched answer to how or when. But I always say start the day, hydrating yourself. Do the best you can during the early part of the day, so that if you're towards the end of, you find yourself, it's towards the end of the day and you've hydrated yourself, you don't have to overhydrate before you go to bed at night, thus waking yourself to go urinate. A lot of people talk about, well, what is it like drinking water at meals? There's no firm science that proves or disproves that drinking water at mealtime dilutes digestive enzymes, or doesn't, or does, but we don't really have any research on it either. There are some people that say that drinking water during your meal times will dilute your digestive enzymes, but honestly, some people just feel better when they have a glass of water while they're eating, because they are dry. Their mucous membranes are dry, and having a glass of water during a meal helps them get that food down, and the food doesn't get lodged or stuck. Just do your best. Make it a thing, as they say. Figure out how many ounces you need. Take your body weight, divide it by 2. That's how many ounces you'll need per day. And good luck with that, and have a wonderful summer, and stay hydrated. Okay, so some of you who are tuning in for the first time in a podcast are probably wondering who I am. My name's Nan, and I've had a complementary and alternative health and herbal clinic for more than 30 years, sometimes part-time, sometimes full-time. I've focused on difficult to treat conditions, and I've also been a spokesperson and educator in the natural products industry. I did that for over 25 years, and although that was a wonderful period of my time, I am now full-time in my clinic with my clients. You can connect with me in person by going to my website, www.watersedgewellness.com, or you can reach out to me through social media sites. I have TikTok. You'll see Nancy or Nan. TikTok is Herbal Answers. That's my page there. There's Instagram and Facebook, or Meta now, I guess. That's Water's Edge Wellness, and YouTube. So I'll be doing this podcast about twice a month. I'm sharing perspectives of natural health and healing. I might even interview some key people, some thought leaders in the natural products industry, and some really successful practitioners to share their knowledgeable perspectives. And if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to and like either Facebook or Instagram, TikTok or YouTube. We post there pretty frequently. And please share our podcast with some interested friends and families. Let me know if there's something you'd like to hear about, or something that's coming up about the health, or you're seeing something posted a lot about something in the natural health field and you just want my comments or my ideas about it. So I'm more than happy to do that. And with all of that, I'll say take good care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.
Well, Super Sleuths, we've conducted a very thorough investigation of this case, and we've learned a lot. Fran, you can show us the way home now. What are you doing? Fran, you're amazing! We're home! Tune in again for the next Supplement Sleuth adventure. Take good care, and Fran and I will see you soon. Say goodbye, Fran.